Hi, this is Greg from the Center Lines, and today I'm going to be reviewing a 2017 Lexus RX350. I do like this front grille, pretty aggressive looking grille, pretty standard for Lexus. I do like the front, the way that the front looks. The headlights, looks like these turn signals here, those are just incandescent bulbs. But, and it's also kind of an aggressive look. So I'm not sure how well it will age in terms of if this look is going to be something that they stick with, but it looks all right. And I do like how it looks. Just to come across here on the back, it does have the LED lights, but it does have incandescent turn signals there. The exhaust pipes look all right there. The backup, the tailgate, it is not very fast. It's nice to have it, but it's kind of a slow-moving tailgate. Seems to be pretty similar space in the back here. They do have a spare tire with a little bit of space underneath here. So, all in all, pretty standard, I think, for this group. That's how that goes down. Oh, goodness. All right. But all in all, pretty good looking vehicle from the outside. Let's take a look at the inside. This vehicle is a 4th generation RX350. 2015 is when this model kind of came out, and this is a 2017. Now it's 2019 when I'm doing this review. I think they're getting pretty close to needing to do an update, but there's a lot of space back here. Looks good. I think that the way that everything is set up, the door panel looks good, the way it feels. And when I get in here, there is a lot of space. This one doesn't have a panoramic sunroof, just has the normal standard sunroof, which is not very big, but still, it looks very nice. And I'm 5'9", and I have plenty of space here, like a lot of space. So very, very roomy, very comfortable, feels really nice. This armrest that comes out has a little storage here, so that's kind of cool. And then also the cup holders right there. So I do like the way these seats feel and the way that they look. I do like the way the door panels look. I just feel like Lexus has done a good job with like shapes and how they place things. So let's check out. So getting into this, first of all, again, I do like the door panel, the way it looks. I like the colors, and I do like the shapes. But you get into this and it just feels solid. I do like the interior of this. I am a big fan of Lexus, and I do like how it looks. Now this does have that analog clock kind of I was making fun of with a Infinity product, but this one looks pretty good, looks decent. And of course the rest of the vehicle looks and feels solid and feels nice, feels luxurious, which doesn't make that seem gimmicky. It kind of makes that actually look nice. Now I like how the instrument cluster looks, and I'm a big person to look at the instrument cluster, and I really do like how this looks. In person it has a lot of depth. It's very simple, very plain, and a lot of depth. And it does have kind of the older digital reading in the center there, but it doesn't look cheesy and outdated. It just is, it could be updated. It is a little bit outdated in terms of what other manufacturers are doing, but this does look nice. It looks appealing, and I like the way that it looks. This steering wheel is pretty awesome. I love the big Lexus logo. The buttons feel solid, they feel good. The steering wheel just feels the right thickness, the way it feels. So I like all of that. I think the center console is pretty awesome. It does have a space here, and then also another storage space right here. And this, when I touch this thing and try to kind of move it or feel how it feels, it's solid. I'm not hearing any noises. I'm not seeing any movement of the any of the material. People always like the soft touch. This soft touch actually feels good and doesn't feel cheap. I do like how the shifter feels. It feels a little more solid than on some of the competitors that I felt. And this is very basic in terms of the setup here, the buttons and how it works, but I do like how it looks. Now, one thing is this screen up here, I feel like it is wasting a lot of space, because you can see so much space over here and then a lot of space on that side right there. And so I think that, you know, that there is a step up version of this, but, you know, and this does well, but it is just kind of a more outdated system that does kind of need to be upgraded, but it works, you know, it responds well. Basically there is a knob here to change settings, and so that works. So you can be driving down the road and just have your hand down here and be changing some of the settings. In this particular model, it doesn't have a navigation, so you just have to hook up your cell phone and it'll pull it through into the screen. And so that's okay, no big deal. You know, everyone has a cell phone. So I love the shape, the shape of things. I keep saying that, like the angles, the circles, the square looking, and just the block feel of it. But the seats look amazing. They feel amazing. And so they feel good. This particular vehicle does have the heating and cooling seats, and that's where they have it. So one thing, like I've said before, is that, you know, this just has a standard sunroof, does not have a panoramic sunroof, which is kind of what a lot of the vehicles are going to, almost standard in this segment. So, but this is 2017 model, so I think the newer ones are coming more standard. And this is the one thing, I think, when you buy a luxury vehicle, you should have a button that opens and closes this. So that's kind of something that I don't really like, but I mean, it's a piece of cake to do. But one thing I think is pretty awesome up here, this, first of all, this does not feel cheap. This feels pretty solid. And then look, when you turn on the light, all you got to do is touch it. I was just kind of messing with it a little bit because there's nothing. It only goes off of touch. There's a door button here which turns on right there. Excuse me, what turns on the lights when you open the door, of course. But I think this map lighting is pretty sweet. Just barely touch it, and so that's cool. And of course, a place for your sunglasses. But all in all, I think it's pretty luxurious in here. It feels pretty awesome. I love the steering wheel. I love how it feels sitting in the cockpit. Once again, I do like how this instrument cluster looks, and I do love how this steering wheel feels. I do think that this screen is a little bit outdated, and it is. You can see how much is not being used on the sides there. The reverse camera, a lot of people talk about how bad the rear camera is, and yeah, it's not high definition or anything like that, but it's just a backup camera. I'm more interested in how much space is wasted up there on the screen, so I think you can get an upgraded one that looks a lot better. And again, this is from a 2017 model, so they are getting better, but that's probably the biggest thing that I would say is outdated with this vehicle, but not bad at all. So we'll go ahead and put it in gear and take it for a drive. I love how the gear shifter feels. This feels really luxurious. But so pulling out, one thing I've noticed is that it is kind of touchy on the pedal, so I haven't been able to get real smooth with it yet, taking off. But I know that over time driving this, I'd probably get it figured out, but I'm kind of taking off a little bit choppy with it. But as I'm driving into this corner, I'm going pretty, you know, stepping on it. I'm going 50 now. It doesn't really feel all like it's rolling a whole lot, like you hear a lot in the reviews. You know, and this is not the sport model, and it does feel, the steering is loose. It's not loose in terms of, like, if I'm turning left or right now, it is moving where the vehicle is. It's very soft. And so, you know, but it feels, I think it feels good, and I think you totally get used to it. Now I'm driving it in the sport mode, so it's going to be as tight as it can be, but I do like how this feels. I think it's very comfortable and very quiet, and Lexus is very solid, has a good, you know, reputation in terms of repairs and all of that. But coming up to this corner up here, we'll get a feel for it. But I feel like the way that most people are going to drive this vehicle, it's exactly what they want and more. It feels very luxurious, has lots of power, it looks good, it feels good, and very, very, very comfortable, very soft going over bumps. So all of that feels good. And actually, being in sport mode, I'm actually impressed with how well it actually feels going around these corners, because again, so many of the reviews that I watched talked about how bad this thing takes the corners, and if you're okay with that, then it's a great vehicle. And you know, I think that if you're trying to get something sporty, you're not really going to go for this vehicle. This vehicle looks sporty on the outside, it feels luxurious on the inside, it feels great, but you know, it isn't a sporty vehicle in terms of how it drives around corners and things like that, like they said, but it's still good enough, and especially for most people that aren't, you know, driving so many different vehicles. And I really like how this vehicle feels. Lexus, again, as I said before, has a really good reputation on repair. Toyota And it's just a solid feeling vehicle. So I like that. And I do love how, I know this is just super simple, but I do love this simple, just touch the map light. I do wish that the sunroof was kind of more of a panoramic sunroof and that it had just the buttons to push it. I do like how on the radio it does have the controls down here so that while I'm driving, of course there's no touch up there, so you do have to have the control down here, but you do have the controls that you can hit right there. I do like that quite a bit. So this is a very good feeling luxury vehicle. One thing about this vehicle, it is very comfortable, very quiet, very soft. As I get ready to pull over here, I'm going to pull over into some gravel, and it is just very, very smooth, very soft as it's going over all these bumps. Doesn't feel out of control or anything like that. Feels good. And so really like it. Now this, when you buy a luxury vehicle, you want it to feel luxurious. This vehicle feels luxurious. The center console looks good. It feels good. It feels solid. Vehicle's quiet, and I think it's pretty awesome. So just to show you how the adaptive cruise control works, there is the lever like I said. So I'm gonna go ahead and set it, turn it on, set it. But there is a vehicle, there's buttons right here that I didn't get to show you before. So this will change your settings, like your distance setting. You cycle it, that's one step closer, push it again, it's another step closer, push it again, it goes back to the furthest distance. And then of course it's got the lane keep assist. So if you put this on, it will kind of assist you in staying in the lanes. It doesn't really drive completely without your hands off. If you take your hands off, it's going to give you a warning like all these vehicles do, but it does try to kind of help you keep it in the center of the lane. I typically turn that off, but I do like the adaptive cruise control feature. And this one does not have a up or down button. It just has the single, push it to change the distance and then cycle through it, kind of like the Toyotas, or the Hondas, which they have a 4 setting on their adaptive cruise control. This one only has 3. So to kind of close out the review, I think this vehicle is pretty awesome in terms of the way it looks. It is not really a sporty feeling vehicle, but it is a luxury feeling vehicle. And I think most people just want comfort, and they're not going to be racing around or doing anything like that. But this feels really good driving down the road. And as I said in the driving test, it's kind of loose and almost squiggly with the steering, but that's what this is. It's not a sporty vehicle. It is something that's meant to be really comfortable getting you point A to point B, and that's the way most people drive. There's not a lot of, sportiness, I guess, on most daily driving. This thing has a lot of get up and go, but just turning corners and stuff, the steering wheel's light, and it just kind of rolls a little bit. But outside of that, I think it looks awesome and it feels awesome. I love the inside more than I love the outside, and I think the inside would age longer than the outside design. But overall, I think it's a great vehicle. Hope you like the review.